There's a light between, an energy unseen, a connection so profound, like a flowing stream. It whispers in the silence, guiding our way, intuition growing stronger with each passing day. The light between, it's a force to behold, unveiling truths untold, breaking through the low. Intuition rising like a symphony in tune. The light between, it's a bond that won't remove.
Welcome to the Light Between podcast, where we embrace the divine love, light, and cosmic laws, recognizing us as co-creative agents in the mystical evolution of the divine. Unlike other shows on spiritual growth, The Light Between ignites heartfelt, my dear soul, love letters, intuitive healing insights, and empowering prompts that unlock your soul contract. When you no longer judge your inner critic and meet it with warmth, you can shift the perspective and power of the part of your shadow that is talking and the part of ourselves that is answering. I invite you to initiate your personal rite of passage in reconnecting with your innate power and intuition. Head over to the Light Between newsletter to stay on track with your highest timeline through next era resources and holographic psychic readings.
Let the light between, an energy unseen, connection so profound like a flowing stream. There's a light between, an energy unseen, a connection so profound like a flowing stream. It whispers in the silence, guiding our way, intuition growing stronger with each passing day. The light between, it's a force to behold, unveiling truths untold, breaking through the mold. Intuition rising like a symphony in tune. The light between, it's a bond that won't remove. In the spaces between words, in the moments of pause, the light between it aligns the universal laws. It speaks in whispers in the depths of your soul, guiding you forward, making you whole. The light between, it's a force to behold, unveiling truths untold, breaking through the mold. Intuition rising like a symphony in tune. Let the light guide you, let intuition lead. In the dance of life you'll find what we need. The light between, an eternal flame, igniting your path never the same. The light between, a sacred bond, illuminates the path we're on. Intuition blossoms, spirits entwine. The light between, divinely designed. The light between, it's a force to behold, unveiling truths untold, breaking through the mold. Intuition rising like a symphony in tune.
Welcome to the Light Between podcast, my friends. In the center of every single life is a delicate balance of energy, emotions, and empathy. And on the eve of this transition of what my client called tonight, she said, Cass, would you call this transition in our society the fourth turning? I said, absolutely. You got it. It is not a political event. It is not even an economic event. And one word that kept flowing through the last couple of days was empathy. So I sat down, and in the inauguration of the second episode of the Light Between podcast, we're going to do a little bit of soul searching through my download, and I'm going to offer you the same question around empathy. So let's do some framing, because it is so vital right now to understand where your empathy comes from, so you understand your source of power around empathy and how we can align with greater awareness for self and others. Now, if you look at the definition of empathy from Merriam-Webster's point of view, it is understanding, it is being aware of or being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another. Now, empathy is really seen as this generic trait that interconnects us as humans to very different degrees of variance as far as where we're at in balance of empathy in relationship to self and others. So we can also detect the lack of empathy that has been linked to many forms of mental illness and behaviors ranging from socially awkward to physical harm. So while this is true, there's a significant portion of humanity that experiences a heightened level of empathy. And this increased empathy, instead of leading to positive outcomes, can more times than not result in emotional distress, anxiety, and the development of different coping mechanisms that are necessary to function daily with a level of empathy that you may carry. This heightened empathy can originate from two sources. And that's what I want to talk about today, so that we can find our place of balance and look at the dynamic view at this time of transition of spiritual expansion. Now, empathy, my friends, is hailed as this bedrock, right? It's this human connection that grants us this remarkable ability to comprehend and to share our emotions with someone else, to feel connected. And it is this invisible, beautiful thread that weaves us all together. This beautiful tapestry of shared experiences and emotions. However, when this gift becomes overwhelming, it can threaten to overwhelm us and completely take us out. So today I want to really present this next version of this podcast as both an inspired divination and a reflection for all of us, as well as this channel as the wisdom comes through from my higher soul and my spirit guides. And at the end, you'll be guided to a prompt to help you guide your own soul. And a two-way, what I call two-way prayer, where you sit with what you hear. It's not a dialogue. You sit with what you hear and you channel it out as we explore both the light and the shadow. So what we want to ground into is this fundamental human trait, as noted, that it can be a blessing and a burden, and how we can really discover ways to navigate these complexities in the days ahead by seeking the place of balance, and also understanding what empathy offers as fostered healing. And so working with our trauma, it's a trauma where we understand that as a human, we receive gifts that are learned from past, which brings us this empathy that teaches us how to harness our center and move through life, right? This path is really about healing. It's about cultivating that really innate sensitivity with equanimity within yourself. And I call this your place of balance. So I want to bring in additional framing around where we can be in our highest vibration and highest octave of pulling that in. So the causal mind is this level of consciousness that reaches beyond our surface thoughts, beyond our rational processing. The causal mind connects our actions and our patterns and our intentions over time. And this is what leads us to what uncovers our root causes of our thoughts and our behaviors. So when we operate from the causal mind, I often talk about the 7 subtle bodies, and this is going to be represented in the light. But for now, we just want to focus on the influence of the higher mind, the causal mind, with our emotion, our reactions. And within this awareness, we gain that power the power to shift or to release, the repetitive patterns or to be mindful and in the moment, the empathy for ourselves and the empathy for others, and how this really starts opening up patterns. So in essence, the causal mind allows us to understand and forgive ourselves for past choices, to build a new sense of empathy as part of our healing process. So when we integrate both the mind of the higher mind and the lower mind with empathy, it serves as the bridge. So as our unconscious mind picks up the patterns, and then we allow others to help support us in the higher mind, the wisdom mind, the causal mind, which is the 6th and 7th dimension, we start to understand now as our archetypal, tribal human as a personal evolution in self-compassion for not only understanding self, but others. So as empathy deepens through this understanding, our unconscious and our superconscious, we start living between the spectrums of more balance and more expansively through choice. And it is the integration that allows us to transform both with clarity and compassion, which really is bringing us back to our collective consciousness at this time. So if we have access to the higher planes of consciousness, and each of us find our own way to reach that, the path up, right? It comes through healing the heart. And any trauma that we have carried into this lifetime up to this point as a child. And this is where I'm going to allow this channeled message to come through that will inform us of how trauma holds the hidden gifts, the diamond within the coal. That when we unpack and heal these wounds, we elevate ourselves in understanding of the plane of empathy that we're working within. And we allow our higher consciousness to come down and integrate with us as we have incarnated into this lifetime. As a soul in a body, empathy can also be a form of spiritual bypassing, where we glorify ourselves and how we feel and we're so empathetic. That is not a healthy place of empathy, because it can end up in avoiding dealing with wounds in favor of pursuing some dialogue in our mind or a persona that we put out there as a healer. And it's actually a wounded vessel. So if we allow the light to come through, and which is going to be what I channeled in this message, in this podcast, to magnify the unresolved traumas that have led us maybe to the anxiety, to the nervous system breakdowns, that we can come down and ground again and understand the trauma is a fertilizer that shapes who we become by realigning with a healthy balance with empathy. So with that said, I invite you in as I ask the question, my dear soul, what would you have me know about the surge of vibrations that is flowing through my sense of balance with empathy? Dearest sensitive soul, oh, how I wish I could wrap you in a warm, comforting embrace right now. I can feel the weight of the world on your shoulders, the constant hum of others' emotions buzzing around in your mind. You, my love, are an empath, a beautiful, complex being with extraordinary abilities to feel deeply. But I know this gift can sometimes feel more like a burden, can't it? So let's take a moment and let's just breathe together. Inhale the understanding that you are not alone in this experience, and exhale the misconception that your sensitivity is a flaw. You are perfectly imperfect, just as you are. Now, let me share a little secret with you. Your empathic nature isn't an accident or a cruel twist of fate. It's a deliberate choice that your soul made, a mix of ingredients carefully measured to create the unique recipe that is you. So imagine your embodiment as a baking cake with all of the different ingredients. Some souls choose more dry ingredients, grounding themselves firmly in the physical world. But you, my dear, have a higher ratio of wet ingredients. Your soul essence is infused with your being with a heightened sense of awareness and connection. This mixture allows you to retain these beautiful psychic abilities, including that profound empathy that lets you identify and interconnect with others on a soul level. It's a beautiful gift, even when it feels overwhelming. Your soul chose the path for a reason, and perhaps to practice boundaries, to hold space for others, and to engage in service to the world with a full suite of intuitive skills at your disposal. But my dear, I see you struggling, my love. I see the way that you sometimes retreat from the world, overwhelmed by this constant influx of emotions and energies where you can see it all for what it is. I see how you take on others' pain as if it were your own, how you sometimes lose yourself in the sea of others' needs and feelings. But let me remind you, as you have matured, I want to remind you of something crucial. You are not responsible for fixing or carrying the emotions and the burdens of others. Your empathy is a tool for understanding, not a mandate to solve everyone else's problems. It's okay to create boundaries, my love, to turn down the volume of the world's emotional noise when you need to. Think of it like learning to control the volume on a radio. Right now, it might feel like it's blazing at full volume, 24/7. But with the practice of self-compassion, you are learning to adjust that dial, and you're now starting to choose when to tune in deeply and when to soften the signal of your own well-being. For those of you whose empathy developed as a survival mechanism, please listen to what my dear soul channeled through. So if you are one of those that has developed empathy through a survival mechanism in response to trauma or difficult circumstances, I see you. Your heightened awareness is a testament to your resilience. But it's time to learn that you are safe now. You can begin to relax that hypervigilance, to trust in your inherent worth and your safety, your power within. And big heart, do you remember the first time you realized you were different? In the womb of your affectionate mother, you experienced a profound loss, sensing the sorrow of two children before you that your mother laid to rest based on their unique soul contract with your parents. And the intensity of your mother's anguish reverberates within you. Even now, it can take your breath away. And as a teenager, you struggled to find close, trusted friends. Your advanced maturity and deep understanding of life's complexities set you apart, making you feel like an old soul in a world of youth. We admire your journey and the way you absorb these experiences without the filter of your brain. As a starseed, as a soul, you embody the essence of pure osmosis, a truth that you have yet to fully recognize. That this heightened empathy of yours is like a superpower, isn't it? But even superpowers, even superheroes need to learn how to control their abilities. Your empathy comes from one of two sources. It's either a natural part of your soul's makeup, chosen before you embarked on this earthly journey, or it's a skill developed through adversity and survival mechanisms honed from crucible moments of difficult experiences. So for those of you who came into this world as natural empaths, imagine your soul like a master baker, carefully measuring the ingredients of your being. More soul in the mix means a richer, more physical tuned experience. But it also means a more intense ride through the emotional landscape of your life. You chose this recipe for a reason, my love. Perhaps to learn important lessons about boundaries or to offer your unique gifts to be of service to others. And for those who have chosen empathy that was forged in the fires of challenging circumstances, my heart goes out to you. Your sensitivity is a badge of honor, a testament of your resilience. You've learned to read the subtle cues, to anticipate needs and emotions as a way to stay safe. It's a skill that has served you well, but now it's time to learn that not every situation requires this level of vigilance. Empathy in all of its forms is a physical experience. It is not just your mind, it is in your body. It is in your nervous system. It is in your every cell. Those mirror neurons firing within the limbic system of resonance happening is real and very tangible. And just like any other sense, it sometimes overwhelms us. So dear one, think back to your intuitive personal client's experience just last week, supporting her through a fender bender that she was in. How you brought her back to this reverse engineered memory where time seemed to slow down, how everything became hyper-focused and yet strangely distant. Just as you coached her, you can coach your own body, your own mind, your own nervous system from working overtime to process a sudden influx of intense stimuli. For many empaths, that's what every day can feel like, a constant state of heightened awareness and processing. But here's the thing, my darling soul. You don't have to live in perpetual state of emotional overload. Just as we learn to filter out background noise or adjust our eyes to different levels of light, it's time to modulate your empathic abilities as we move into the fourth turning with maturity and lessons learned. And as you think about a volume control for your soul, you can turn it up when you need to connect, and you can dial it back when you need to protect your energy. So now, my dear mystic, I know how much you love archetypal work. So you know I would love to explore this aspect of the light and the shadow. So as we jump in, let's talk about the shadow side of empathy for a moment. You know that feeling of empathy turns to anxiety, then to hypervigilance. But this is actually the victim archetype at play. It's that part of you that feels overwhelmed, powerless, and sometimes even resentful of your sensitivity. The victim whispers that you can't survive in this intense world. You're too fragile. It tells you that you don't deserve to thrive. It's safer to withdraw, to blame others, to stay small. But my love, that's not your truth. That's fear talking. And fear, while a natural part of the human experience of the unknown, doesn't have to drive the car. You see the victim as one facet of your beautiful, complex self. It's there to teach you, to show you where you need healing and growth, not to fix yourself, but just to embrace and integrate the lessons as you transform. That self-pitying victim becomes the compassionate witness. The angry, lashing out part of you becomes the courageous voice. The self-important narcissist tendencies, and yes, we have all of them, evolve as a humble service. This journey from victim to empath isn't always easy, but sweet one, it is worth it. It's about reclaiming a sense of boundaries. It's about learning to use your sensitivity as a gift of maturity, of leadership, and creating a container first for yourself in a safe space where you can process, you can integrate, and allow yourself to feel and experience the power within. Now, we've spoken since your point of origin in this lifetime about this new age of empowerment, away from fixing ourselves, so we can have a reminder, dear one, that understanding this is the old system that took its last stand in the recent weeks. This system, political or not, whatever you want to call it, is known as its final hooray. We're at the golden age, moving into this fifth dimensional grid. And as outdated themes of all these different labels hold steady in a frequency, we are bringing back the unity of true empathy, where we move from victim to a sense of self-empowerment, to the compassionate witness with each other. So I invite you to release the fears and the angers of the past. You are now the new ancestor, birthing a higher DNA frequency of generations to come. But it is responsibility. It takes time to step fully into your power and be the light that shapes the future. There are no saviors involved here. Power over wants to take away choice. Power under wants to deny choice. But here, my sweet one, is where power with, everyone is on the same playing field, with empathy, learning new empathy, that power within is a choice. And so if we go back to the causal mind, living in the higher mind of our empathy, understanding the ingredients that we chose a soul contract, that whether we learned empathy through trauma or empathy through learning how to find our sense of balance, it is the up choice to the causal mind. The best choice is up, to always come back to this stillness within me, dear one, to quiet the mind, to open the heart, and remember that your first responsibility is to yourself, to cultivate self-compassion and create a safe container for your own growth before attempting to hold space for others, which you've done and you've created a lifetime of doing. And we thank you, because this isn't selfish. It's necessary for your well-being and for your authentic expression of your gifts. So remember, true empathy doesn't require you to be free of your triggers, but the path and the pause of presence prior to your thoughts and your reactions are this beautiful paradox that the more you learn to contain and care for your own emotions, the more capacity you have to truly be empathetic for self and others. Because true empathy is the kind that changes lives and heals hearts. It comes from this deep place of strength, this deep place of self-awareness, of neutrality, and not from losing yourself in other people's pain. So, my beloved empath, here's what I want you to remember. Your sensitivity is a gift, not a burden. It's part of your soul's unique contract and design. You have the power to modulate your empathic abilities, to practice turning them up and turning them down. The victim archetype is just one part of you, and it can be transformed into the compassionate empath. By setting boundaries, it is not selfish. It is necessary for your well-being and the ability to truly help others. Your empathy, when balanced and healthy, is a powerful force for healing and connection in this world. So that is my download, my dear souls. And now I turn it over to you. It's your turn to listen from your higher soul. Maybe it's from your spirit guides. What would your soul or spirit guides have by asking this question? My dear soul, what would you have me know about managing my empathic gifts in a way that serves both myself and others, that allows me to stay with my power within and power with? Remember, You are beautiful. You sensitive soul, you are here for a reason. Your empathy is the bridge between hearts, a light in the darkness. So I invite us all to wield it wisely, to not only survive in this world, but using it to thrive and to help others do the same. All of my love, all of my light, and to remember this place from the causal mind, that you have a soul contract. And whether you had a natural predisposition to allow your empathy to come through is just the same as the soul contract that has a starting place of balance with empathy. But I can guarantee we're on the spectrum at all times. Allow your higher soul and your spirit guides to bring you into the maturity of what it feels like with a healthy sense of balance with empathy. All right, I can't wait to see your love letters from your soul. Please do share the podcast. Now more than ever do we need this new understanding of the ingredients of where we have the sense of balance with empathy and where it is derived from. All my love, all my light.
There's a light between an energy unseen, a connection so profound like a flowing stream. It whispers in the silence, guiding our way. Intuition growing stronger with each passing day. The light between, it's a force to behold, unveiling truths untold, breaking through the mold. Intuition rising like a symphony in tune. The light between, it's a bond that won't remove. In the spaces between words, in the moments of pause, the light between it aligns the universal laws. It speaks in whispers in the depths of your soul, guiding you forward, making you whole. The light between, it's a force to behold, unveiling truths untold, breaking through the mold. Intuition rising like a symphony in tune. Let the light guide you, let intuition lead. In the dance of life you'll find what we need. The light between, an eternal flame, igniting your path, never the same. The light between, a sacred bond, illuminates the path we're on. Intuition blossoms, spirits entwine. The light between, divinely designed. The light between, it's a force to behold, unveiling truths untold, breaking through the mold. Intuition rising like a symphony